I'm going to go to File and Open. You would have received a whole bunch of designs when you purchased your Pro Stitcher. I'm working with those very same files in the Blocks folder, and I'm going to open the 6-petal flower. You'll notice that over here, Convert to Outlines is already checked. I'm going to leave it just the way it is. I'm going to click Open, and I have my design. It opened really quick. If I click on it, I'm selecting it, and you can see over here in the Sequence panel, if I expand the item, it says that it is a run stitch. So I'd like to see what this looks like when it stitches out. I'm going to go over to Preview and Stitch Out. And I have a playhead that I can click and drag to watch the pattern stitch out. Or I can click Simulate over here to the right of what looks like a pause button, and it'll continue stitching out. If I click pause, it stops the stitch out. If I click pause again, it takes me out of that preview mode. That's a little bit different than Art and Stitch, and I'll show you that in just a minute. Now, if I select it, you'll see that this is the arrow, the select tool that can be accessed with the Q key. The next one down is the Shape tool, which can be selected by pressing the E key, E for Edit. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And now you'll see all the design points. Each flower petal has a point at the very tip. So there are 6 points here. And then I have 4 more points here in the middle. And that's really important. I'm going to show you why here in a moment. And I have to confess, I did try this before recording this video just because I wanted to know what to expect. I'm going to go over to Art and Stitch. I'm going to do the very same thing. I'm going to File and Open the 6-petal flower. I have Convert to Outlines selected, Open as an Untitled Document selected, and Preview just means I can see it in this little box here, so we'll leave that selected. And I'll click Open. Right away, I'm noticing that Art and Stitch is taking longer to open this document. The other thing that I notice is I have a bunch of little nodes here that indicate to me that this has stitches applied. And sure enough, in the sequence view, I have a run stitch. One difference that you'll notice right away when using Art and Stitch versus Pro Stitcher Designer is that I have access to the playhead at the bottom of the screen at all times. I don't have to switch views in order to do that. It works the very same way. I can press on the Simulate Sewing and it'll automatically start playing. I can press pause, which will stop the video, or I could drag the playhead and go through the stitch out that way. And if I click pause again, because it's already stopped, it automatically jumps my playhead to the start of the stitch out so that I can start over again. So now, to do exactly what I did in the last video, I selected the design and I showed you that there is a select tool, which is, you can use the Q key in order to switch to that tool. And then the next one down is the Reshape tool, which uses the letter R, which is different than Pro Stitcher Designer, which uses the letter E for Edit, where they're using R for Reshape here. So I just clicked on that, and right away you're going to notice a huge difference. There are a lot more nodes, and I don't just have the 6 at each of the point plus 4 in the middle. I have what looks to be probably about a dozen more without counting. And like I said, it's really important to notice the difference between Art and Stitch and Pro Stitcher in this regard. And I'm going to switch back over to Pro Stitcher Designer here, and you can see, again, fewer nodes. And what that means is that I can select a node and drag it, and I have the Snap to Grid turned on right now, so it's going to drag it over there. You'll see what the previous design looked like, and I'll click and drag this one over here and make my petals just a little bit wider. And then I'll press apply. And now I have my full shape. It's updated the stitch out. So if I go over to stitch out, you can see here that I can play through it and I have my modified design. Real simple, straightforward, and exactly what you'd expect to see. And now if I hit pause a second time, boom, it disappears. Personally, I would have expected Handy Quilter to do things a little different. I would have rather seen them put a play button here and that it switches to pause when it's being played, and then rewind, fast forward. It's a more familiar interface, and I do kind of feel like they decided to go with exactly what was in Art and Stitch, which always felt really strange to me from a design interface perspective. But that's just my opinion. I'm going to switch back over to Art and Stitch. And now if I try to do that same thing that you just saw me do, which was make my left and right petals wider, I have this node and I can select it and snap it over, and it does the same thing where it shows me where my run stitch is. But you'll notice that I don't have this pretty curve. It's because I have all these additional design points to deal with. And if I wanted to do the same thing in this program, in Art and Stitch, as I did in the Pro Stitcher Designer, I have to know how to reshape all of these little nodules until I get these nodes where I want them, until I'm satisfied and happy with them, or I have to right click and choose delete the point, and right click and delete point. And that's kind of close, but not quite. And so I can massage this a little bit more. And then I would do the same thing on the other side. And then once I do that and I press enter, you'll see that it changed, and now my design is updated. So they both require you to apply the change once you've edited the shape. But you'll see here that I didn't manage to make this quite as pretty as I made it in Pro Stitcher Designer. So that's a huge difference, and a really important difference to note. I don't know if this is going to be the case with every single design file that I open, but I have the feeling that Pro Stitcher is going to come out ahead on this one with fewer design nodes. Be sure to leave a comment on the video to let me know what you'd like to see next. Happy quilting!